Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Welcome, HC parents. This is Mr. Bergmann, and you are going to have your kid in my class this year. And I want to just give you a brief video to help you understand about this class, a little bit about me, so you can understand how the class is going to operate. And I've really had a privilege of doing a lot of cool stuff around the world to help teachers teach better. And so the class is going to operate maybe differently than what you have experienced in the past, where you have experienced when you were a student, and certainly your students have experienced. Some of them have had me before, so you understand this. But I want to just give you a brief sort of reasoning behind what's going on. I believe that we really need to change. There's something called pedagogy, the study of the science of young people. And I think what we need to do is to rethink how we teach. Because if you think about the way a school is designed, a school is primarily designed, well, actually take a look at a series of images. If you look at a school that 100 years ago, this is what it looked like. And if you looked at a class, 100 years later, today or 2019 or whatever, this was like right before the pandemic, things changed a bit after pandemic. It kind of looks like this, right? And even more fascinating, if you were to Google the word classroom followed by the codes, this is what you would find. These are the images that you would find on Google. Classroom in the US, in Taiwan, Japan, Uganda, do you see a pattern here? Afghanistan, Tibet, Egypt, Middle East, China, India, you get the picture, Himalayan mountains, Vietnam, Peru, in higher education, in rich countries, in developing countries, in the military, and in prison. So hopefully you saw a lot of those images, and those images are telling you that teacher stands and does the teacher thing. That's not going to happen in my class. And here's some fundamental beliefs that I have about what makes good teaching good. So what makes good teaching good? And I've had a chance to do a lot of work with professors and leaders in the world of education around the world. And I've summarized what makes good teaching good into two things. And this is something I feel like is backed by what they call educational research. And it says that number one is active learning. Students need to do stuff to learn, not just sit and listen passively, because what you saw in all those images was passive learning. You need to have active learning. And then the second one, this is built, of course, on our Christian beliefs, is its relationships, right? Think of the story of the gospel. It is God's redemptive story of mankind and bringing mankind back from the fall in the garden through, the redemption through Jesus, and ultimately for the final the final days when we go to the wedding supper of the Lamb. So it's about relationships. You combine active learning and relationships, and you get a win. So to that end, this class is going to combine two methodologies that I've had a chance to work extensively in. And you may have heard the concept of flipped learning, and you may have had a bad experience with flipped learning. A lot of students maybe didn't get a chance to work with flipped learning very well. And I've been at the forefront of that movement since 2007. And yeah, here's some images. You may not be familiar with this, but there's this image right here. It's called Bloom's taxonomy. This cat named Mr. Bloom in 1957, I think it was. He created this. That it's a cognition of thinking, right? You've got remembering, understanding are the lower levels of thinking, and the higher levels of cognition are up here, right? But the idea of flipped learning is that you spend less class time. So if the area of the triangle is time, students can spend less class time at the bottom and more class time at the top. Now this is particularly important in physics and chemistry that I teach here, in that students, maybe you've had this experience, right? You were a high school chemistry student, you were in college taking whatever you were taking, and the professor did the that thing, right? Or the teacher did it, whatever. And then you went home and you were supposed to do some stuff based upon the lecture, and you were lost, you didn't know what to do. Well, what if more class time was devoted to the hard stuff, right? Applying and analyzing and evaluating. That's really the big idea of flipped learning, is that more class time is devoted to the hard things, and then the direct instruction, the information transfer, if you will, happens down here in the remembering and understanding stage. And that takes the form of a short video. So your students are gonna, it's super, super important that they actually watch these videos. I've created a series of videos on physics, chemistry, whatever, geology, all these different videos they're gonna watch, and that's the lecture part. So the lecture part is gonna be done in these short videos. I think the longest video they'll watch all year is 12 minutes. So 12 minutes, that's it, okay? They're going to watch these videos, and they're going to do that outside of class, not during class. And then they're going to do that outside of class, so that when they come to class, if they get stuck, they get help. My guess is you probably took high school physics and chemistry back in the day, right? That's awesome. But what happens when you forgot it, and then they come home and say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I need help on my physics, and you're going to say, good luck with that. Or you're going to have to hire a tutor. I don't want you to have to hire a tutor. I want them to come to class and get the help from me. Honestly, I've thought about this Bloom's taxonomy, one of my books I published. I actually printed it up here as this triangle, or this diamond shape, because I think the diamond shape is more realistic. I think it's unrealistic to spend most of our class time, if you will, at the top of Bloom's taxonomy. That's the name of this diagram. I've had the privilege to write some books. I wrote the book called Flip Your Classroom, and then the new edition just came out in July of this year, so of 2023, so that's pretty cool. But my latest project really has been this, and this is what, so I said I'm going to combine two methodologies, not just flipped classroom, but also mastery learning. So I wrote another book, came out in October of last year. It was an Amazon bestseller in my category, the curriculum and instruction. And it was really based upon this cycle of learning. And the big idea here is because we have these videos, the students can move through the material at a flexible pace, not their own pace. It's not quite exactly, and it's not that important. This is the cycle. I share this with teachers, but the big idea is they get into the circle, and for you, the point they get to the point of assessment. So the idea of mastery learning is super easy. Student finishes a unit. They take a test, and if they fail, they have to retake. I believe that our school system has made a gross mistake. It has made this statement, all right? I believe it makes this point. If you learn fast, you're smart. If you learn slow, you're dumb. I believe that is the message of the American education system, probably the world, really. I don't think that's a true statement. I believe that sometimes people who learn slow learn better and deeper, but they need more time. So the big idea is that they're going to get to the assessment stage, the test, and if they can't pass it, then I'm going to work with them, remediate them. I'm going to work with them and say, we've got to get you past. They don't get to work at their own pace, but it's more of a flexible pace, but it really, really works. I've been doing this now for many years, and let me tell you, this is the best thing. I really believe this works more than I can tell you anything. So what will your kids experience in the class? Just really quickly, number one, I'm not going to do any whole class instruction. That doesn't mean there isn't whole class instruction. Well, the students are going to watch cheesy videos that I either made by myself or I made with other colleagues. All right, that's key. They're going to move at a flexible pace. That means that not every kid's going to be on the same page at the same time, but they need to move in the general direction. That allows me to personalize the instruction for every student, which I could call extreme differentiation. What happens is I get so much more teacher-student interaction. I will get to know your students better than just because my job is going to be to rove around the room and work with students. And as I work with them, I'm not standing in front of them and doing the teacher thing. I am getting to know them, and I think that's been a really powerful opportunity for me to get to my students. The students will be working together. It's not like they're all on their own journey. Students will clump together. It always happens. It always happens in every mastery classroom around the world. This happens. It happens in our class. So don't feel like there's some kind of you're on your own. You're not on your own. You're going to be working together, but you still have your own journey to go on. There'll be lots of opportunities where I will be doing what's fancy in the sciencey word, formative assessments. It's like check for understandings. Lots and lots of check for understandings, formative assessments. They're going to take their tests on these computers, and each time they take a test, they get a different test. In fact, it's not that detailed, but literally, when someone takes the big test, there are thousands of versions of the test, so that if they take a test and then they take it again, if they have to take it again, then they will be able to take a different test, because sometimes students would just memorize the questions, and that's not really learning. One of the huge benefits is once they take a test, they get immediate feedback. So it's not graded a week later. I grade it in their presence, right there. I'm grading one of the students' grades in one of the classes. And ultimately, number 10, it's relationship-centered. And as we've talked about, it's all about connecting with kids. And I believe in relationships. I think God, in His providence, says that relationships matter. And I really hope to get to know you. Other things I'll be doing is I send out a weekly video, just what's going on in the world of your class. I'll say it's physics or chemistry or whatever video. They're probably 1 minute long. I'd encourage you to watch these 1 minute videos, and they're just kind of quick updates. Feel free to see me when I'm around. Visit the class, email me, do whatever you need to do. Yeah, I really encourage you to chat with your students. I would say the biggest delimiter of success in this model is that the student takes more ownership. Now, some students are more motivated to do work on their own, and some aren't, and you know which is your kid. And so if there's anything that really will throw them off is in a master class as they get behind, since they are moving at their flexible pace. When students get behind and aren't keeping up with the pattern, okay, usually I found it's because they're not, shall we say, being as motivated as they could. And so your help on that matter would be huge. So yeah, I am looking forward. This is my, I don't know. I started teaching in 1986. Let me think that. That's right, 1986. It's 2023. All right, that's what? It's 14 years to 2023. Is this 37? Yeah, 37 years. There was this 8-year hiatus, maybe 7. I think it was 7 actually. 7-year hiatus where I was traveling around the world helping teachers. I in fact came to Houston Christian to help them at one point. They hired me to come work with their teachers, and that's one reason why I'm here. So it's kind of a really good God story. Ask me someday, and I'd love to tell you how God brought me to here to this school. So yeah, indeed. Welcome to Houston Christian Chemistry and Physics with me, Crazy Mr. Bergmann.